just diminished in your magnitude until you're disappeared.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you the World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
I'm James Creechbaum with the Paranormal and World Changes News. While you think plant-based meat is healthier than natural meats, well, fake meat doesn't grow on a vine. It's an ultra-processed imitation that is assembled in industrial factories. What's in plant-based meat, you ask? Well, here's 5 things to think about. Titanium dioxide. It's a whitener used in paint. Propylene glycol. It's a liquid used in e-cigarettes. Magnesium carbonate, used in fire-extinguishing compounds. Methicellulose, it's a bulking agent used in laxatives. Ferric phosphate, used in slug pesticides. That's just a few things in imitation meat, plant meat. Also in the news, UFOs. There's a candidate. And you may know this candidate. This one candidate is running for the U.S. Congress in California. Now, his name, you will know, it's synonymous with, he's a retired Air Force captain, Robert Salos. Now, he says that in a recent release of videos showing military encounters with UFOs, he says they are part of his motivation to run, and disclosure is part of his platform. Does he have a chance? We shall see. Stonehenge blue stone stolen for a garden ornamentation. Now, somebody stole it and used it as a garden ornament. And an ancient blue stone of the type used to build England's world-famous stone circle Stonehenge was stolen from the Preseli Hills in Wales, bundled up into a blanket, and put in the trunk of a car and taken 10 miles away to be used as a garden ornament. Also in the news, 2019 was a bumper year for Loch Ness sightings. There was more registered sightings of the Loch Ness Monster in 2019 than in any other year in the century. And some of the more popular sightings was a large eel-like creature filmed in the River Ness footage. Now, the footage showed a large serpentine animal swimming away from the Loch Ness as recently as, well, I think it was just a couple months ago. And also another well-known sighting from last year was a sonar picks up a 25-foot creature in the Loch Ness. Now, a boat skipper, he captured a sonar image of something very large lurking in the depths of the world-famous loch. Also in the news, a dark connection between UFOs and a grizzly mutilations. The details on both grisly and strangely surgical. Corpses are found under the open sky with their eyes plucked out, tongues removed, and private parts excised, all extracted with the utmost precision and leaving not a drop of blood. Now, reports of such unexplained mutations carried out on both humans, and animals have baffled investigators for decades, leading to a speculation about whether the proprietors might be otherworldly beings conducting biological experiments on Earth's inhabitants. Next news break, top of the hour.
Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
And boy, that thunder kind of fits in with the snow and all that here today. Down at the compound, down at the harbor. Boy, I am losing my voice, which I don't want to do. Well, James, I noticed you went on to, I told you about, you got to see it, didn't you?
Which one? Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. In that group Promote, I'm about to leave that group.
Yeah, well, I'm going to myself after I get off the air. I just want to let you know it was not a figment of my imagination.
No, and it wasn't no groups that I admin or nothing. Matter of fact, I very rarely go in that group, but once you mentioned, I looked and I seen who you were talking about. I didn't go into it, but I just seen the name and the title. I was like, oh my goodness, that's got to be the one.
Yeah, well, it just turned my stomach. But, I don't care. If the guy's listening to the show and he wants to slam me, let him. He, like I said, he has the right, okay? If he wants to talk about dirty sex on a podcast, he has that right. I just don't think he should be able to put it up on Facebook where young people can see it and where it's not regulated for keeping young people from seeing it. That's all.
Right. It's on the wrong platform. I agree totally.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get our guest on, Brenda, and, let's have our show. And I'll calm down here as the show goes on.
Yeah, I know you will.
Yeah.
And, hopefully Skype's all working good tonight anyway. At least mine was, I think.
Yeah. Well, I hope she hasn't forgot about the show, because it's ringing and ringing and ringing, and she's not answering. That happens occasionally, that... No, I think I got her now. Okay. Brenda, are you there?
Yes.
I thought you might have forgot because it was ringing and ringing and ringing.
No, I was sitting here waiting for it to ring.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, I don't know. It could be because I was a minute or two late calling you, and I apologize. We do promote our show on a lot of different platforms. One of them is on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I know this is not a subject what we're going to be talking about, but I saw this guy soliciting his new podcast on one of the groups I belong in Facebook, and I clicked onto it, and it is X-rated sex podcast, and it just made my stomach turn. And then I figured, okay, well, I'm going to click on it and listen to it on Facebook, and so I clicked on it. And I listened to like 3 minutes of it. I couldn't digest anymore. It was just straight something like you wouldn't believe. What upsets me is I got a lot of grandkids. And I certainly don't want them going on Facebook and finding something like this where they can sit there and click on it and hear filth like that. This was upsetting.
Oh, my goodness. I hope you reported it.
I did, but I know how Facebook is. If you know, you never know how they're going to respond. Well, anyway, our guest here is Brenda J. Melody. Did I say it right? Medley. I am so sorry. And her newest book is Visitations to Heaven and Talking with Angels. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, my name is Brenda J. Medley. And, oh my goodness, I have one son, how about that, who's too old for me to mention. He's 40, and I have 5 beautiful grandchildren that I'm very, very proud of. I enjoy writing books, and I only write books when I'm inspired to. My book, Visitation to Heaven and Talking with Angels, I was inspired to write that book because of the very unusual things that happened to me. So I'm really excited about the book, and I know lots of people have read it, and they too are excited. Some of the things are things that I never would have imagined in a million years, but nevertheless, they happen.
What
So
type of,
I'm hoping to be.
well, Brenda, what
I'm
type
sorry?
of Brenda, what happened? I mean, what type of things happened in your life where you wanted to write this
Okay.
book?
Well, I was in, I had this really terrible, terrible stomach ache, and didn't know I had appendicitis, but I had appendicitis, and my appendix actually burst. And after the appendix burst, I was rushed to the hospital, and they immediately did surgery, but I was pronounced dead on the operating table. And oh my goodness, I heard the doctors saying stat, and they were working very feverishly trying to get me to respond and to recover, and none of those things worked. And finally, I noticed that they brought in a defibrillator, and they said clear, and they did that. That didn't work, and I found myself hovering over my body. And I was looking down at the operating table, and I saw myself lying there. But the interesting thing was I wasn't afraid. In fact, I had a feeling of peace. And the best thing of all, there was absolutely no pain. I realized that I had separated, my spirit had separated from my body, and I felt safe, I felt peaceful. All of my mental faculties were intact. I could hear, I could think, I could see, and I felt carefree and a certain type of ecstasy where, I don't know, it was just a complete feeling of peace. And suddenly I found myself being pulled. I felt like I was being pulled, and I was pulled into a what looked like a tunnel. And it was dark in the tunnel, but there were all kinds of lights in the tunnel. And I was going around and around and around very, very, very quickly in this tunnel. And I didn't feel dizzy. That was kind of strange. No dizziness, no uncomfortable feeling from going around in this tunnel. And finally, I was pushed out and standing on a very thick white cloud. And I looked around, and all I could see was clouds. But when I looked up, I saw a street. The first thing I noticed was a street, and the street seemed to be transparent, but it was also gold and transparent. The next thing that I noticed is that I heard singing. And the singing was not, I come from a musical family, and everybody plays instruments except me, of course. I sing, but I heard this singing, and the singing it wasn't 3-part, 4-part, 5-part, or even 6-part harmony. It was like nothing I had ever heard. This beautiful, beautiful melodies and chords, and it certainly was orchestrated by someone that's more knowledgeable than we on earth. And they were singing these melodies, and I tried to hum the melody after listening for a while, but I couldn't. And it was a choir that was singing. And the song was excitement and